In the sprawling, vibrant heart of Manila, where millions moved with purpose and passion, two souls found an unlikely sanctuary. For years, their paths converged daily at a weathered park bench. A silent ritual observed amidst the city's ceaseless hum. Doris, a woman whose quiet strength belied a yearning heart, watched him. Phil, a man of quiet contemplation, often lost in the pages of a book, was her unwitting companion. Both single, both wishing to find a partner, they shared a space, a moment, but never a word. Every lunchtime, like clockwork, Phil would arrive first, settling onto the bench with a book and a cup of his favorite coffee. A strong, black brew from the corner cafe. Moments later, Doris would appear, finding her spot at the opposite end. Her own book a shield against the unspoken. Their gazes would occasionally meet, fleeting and shy, before retreating to the safety of their respective worlds. Yet, in those shared silences, an invisible thread began to weave, binding them in a way neither fully understood. Doris knew his habits, the way he'd turn a page, the slight furrow of his brow when engrossed, the faint scent of his coffee that lingered in the air. She'd even started reading some of the authors he favored, hoping to find a common ground, a silent conversation. Phil, too, was aware of her presence. He'd noticed the color of her scarf, the gentle curve of her smile. When she read something amusing, the quiet elegance of her posture. He often wondered about her, about the stories hidden behind her serene eyes, but fear, or perhaps a strange reverence for their unspoken bond, kept him silent. One sweltering Tuesday, the air thick with the promise of a monsoon, Phil arrived, looking more distracted than usual. He drank his coffee quickly, his eyes scanning the park as if searching for something or someone. Doris watched, a knot forming in her stomach. He finished his lunch, closed his book, and then, with a hesitant glance towards her, he stood up. He left the book on the bench, a small, folded note tucked between its pages. He walked away, his steps unusually heavy, disappearing into the crowd without a backward glance. Doris's heart pounded. This was different. This was final. With trembling hands, Doris reached for the book. It was a well-worn copy of Nali Me Tan Hair, a classic. The note, written in a neat, masculine hand, read, "I'm being transferred. Tomorrow is my last day." Her breath hitched. Tomorrow. Her last chance. A wave of regret washed over her, a bitter taste of all the words left unsaid, all the moments unshared. She clutched the book, the paper crinkling under her grip. This couldn't be the end. The next morning, the park bench was empty. Phil was gone. Doris felt a profound ache, a void where his silent presence used to be. But regret quickly turned to resolve. She wouldn't let him disappear. Her quest began with the clues she had. The forgotten book, Nali Me Tan Hair, and his coffee order. She visited every cafe in the vicinity of the park, asking about a man who ordered a strong, black coffee, always with a book. The baristas offered little help. Days turned into a week. Doris scoured bookstores, libraries, and even online forums dedicated to Filipino literature, hoping to find a connection to Nali Me Tan Hair that might lead her to him. She found a discarded receipt from a dry cleaner. Tucked inside the book, a small, almost insignificant detail. The name on it, Phil. A name. Finally, a name. The receipt also had an address, a building in the bustling financial district. A flicker of hope ignited within her. Armed with Phil's name and the dry cleaner's address, Doris felt a renewed sense of urgency. She navigated the labyrinthine streets of Manila, her heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and dread. What if it was too late? What if he was already gone? She imagined their reunion, the words she would finally say, the questions she would ask. The city, once a backdrop to their silent routine, now felt like an obstacle. Each jeepney and pedestrian a potential delay. Finally, she arrived at the address, a towering glass and steel edifice that dwarfed the surrounding buildings. Her eyes scanned the entrance, her breath catching in her throat. And then she saw him. Phil. He was getting into a taxi, a suitcase by his side, his back to her. He was leaving. Her voice, usually so quiet, erupted in a desperate cry. Phil. The name, a whisper she had only dared to think, now echoed across the busy street. He turned, his eyes wide with shock, then a dawning, stunned hope. The taxi pulled away, carrying him further and further, as Doris stood there, her hand outstretched. the city's noise fading into a deafening silence. Find out in the next episode of this story. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories of unspoken connections and second chances.